War is a social phenomenon and so occurs where people live, and with the increasing pace of urbanization, we are seeing greater conflict in urban areas. Currently, an estimated 55% of the world's population lives in urban areas, and by 2030, it is predicted that this number will increase to 60%. As urbanization increases, the problems of population growth, poverty, and hunger provide the ingredients to fuel conflict, revolution, and insurgency. The International Committee of the Red Cross estimates that around 50 million people worldwide are affected by armed conflict in cities. Combat in cities can be the most destructive type of warfare, which can leave effects for generations. An average of 8 times more people are killed in conflict in urban areas as opposed to those waged in rural environments. Military operations in urban areas have been destructive and resulted in much human suffering, and the difficulties of applying cardinal principles of IHL, such as those of distinction, proportionality, and precaution, are compounded in cities. This is as a result of the intermingling between civilians and combatants, wherein fighters may fail to distinguish themselves from civilians, as well as difficulties in separating military objectives from population within cities. The interconnectedness of urban services also poses a challenge in that damage to infrastructure may affect significant numbers of residents and have reverberating effects on other service systems. For instance, the destruction of a power supply station during combat could result in a knock-on effect on other services such as hospitals, water supply, wastewater collection, schools, and public transport. According to the ICRC, these reverberating effects build upon one another, resulting in cumulative impacts that may render an area unlivable and reverse development gains by years, if not decades. Unexploded remnants left in urban areas also threaten the lives of many civilians, particularly those involving landmines and cluster munitions. The ICRC has called on parties to the conflict to refrain from using such weapons in populated areas. As armed conflict returns to cities in a manner which is protected, both military forces and IHL must evolve to meet the changing landscape of warfare, from battle in open fields to fighting street to street in concrete jungles. It must be ensured that IHL is respected and that civilians and civilian objects are protected from suffering to the greatest extent possible, regardless of the theater of combat.